Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to part 3 of the Overlord Collab. So, today isn't going to be as long as the first stream, obviously, because the first stream we had part 1 and part 2, right? But, honestly, today looks pretty interesting to me. I think this unit, I've heard people talking about this unit already, and she sounds pretty crazy. I personally haven't looked too much into her kit, so I can't really say too much on it yet, but I have had like a little bit of a look, and she seems to be pretty crazy, mostly because of her incredibly fast skills, and hit counts and stuff look pretty great, but we'll get on to that in a moment. So yeah, basically today I don't have anything different planned. If you want to see everything we're doing, you can just check the description, because I've got a list of everything that I want to talk about. But basically, not going to be as long, but still around 2 hours or so. Should be fun, hopefully. My main goal for today, I would like to get the unit, but we'll see what happens when we get to it. Let's not worry about that for now. Let's just have a quick look at the news first of all, just in case there's anything in here. But I think today there isn't that much in this update. I think it's just pretty much an update to the event a little bit and the new banner. I don't think there's much else, probably a few bug fixes and stuff, but I don't think there's really that much added in this update. And the time trial, I believe, is next week on the Thursday, so the next unit is going to be in 2 weeks from now. I don't know what that's going to be. That'll be interesting, but hopefully, you know, either DOH unit or permanent unit is probably what I expect. So yeah, obviously, update to the event. We can now get some part 3 tickets in the event, which is nice. I do have all the tickets already. Honestly, the event is kind of underwhelming. I'm not a fan of this event just because it's kind of boring. There isn't really much to do in this event, and I just don't really like this event that much, because it just seems like there's not that much effort put into this event as a whole. The Sonic collab was just way better. The event in the Sonic collab was great. I love that one, but there just isn't much to this event. So yes, you can get all the normal rewards you would normally get, which is great. I love the rewards in the events. It's kind of boring. I love the world maps. That's my favorite events. Promo updates. Yeah, arena promotions. You know, not much. This is pretty much it. Like, there isn't much in this update, so there isn't really much I can say about it. So yeah, obviously we got Shalltear and a new arc, which we'll have a look at in a moment. And I believe there isn't really much else to really say. New frame, a stamp, and you know, we do get access to the dress now in the event. So, I mean, I wish I could say more about it, but there literally isn't really anything else I can say about the update today, other than there's just the event update and a few bug fixes, arena promotion, and a banner. That's pretty much it. So yeah, not really that much going on today in terms of events and things, but that's alright, I guess. It's just how it is. So the main thing about today, though, obviously, new banner. We got the part 3 banner. There are a few things planned that I want to talk about much later on in terms of which banner I think's better. It's kind of difficult to say at the moment. I kind of have to look at Shalltear a bit more first. But basically, I can say already that each banner has something good in it, and if you get something, no matter what it is, as long as it's one of the limited units or arcs, it's going to be useful. So that's that. Anything you get is going to be useful. Obviously, some things are better than other things, but still, I think each one is useful. Each one has something valuable to it. But yeah, talk more about that later. I also want to talk later about the part 1 and part 2 units, because I've been messing around with those over the past week. But for now, let's have a look at this new unit and this new banner. So we'll have a look at Shalltear first, and then we'll have a look at the arc like normal. I'm personally more excited about this unit, because she seems like she could be pretty damn good, and I've already heard of people using her in PvE content and against bosses. She's actually pretty crazy. So Shalltear is a undead type unit, which is kind of what I expected, honestly, because she's kind of like a vampire, pretty much. So undead makes sense to me. Stats, there isn't really much to say about the stats. she's mostly just going to be a damage dealer. I don't think she's going to be tanking that well, and in terms of PvP, I don't think she's going to do that well, but let's have a look at her kit first of all. I don't know why she has weakness to curse. That kind of sucks. I don't like seeing that because that means you have to waste a hell of a lot of SC just to get resistance to curse and nil to curse. You're going to need a lot to help with that. So I'm not a fan of that, but the rest of her ailment resistances are actually pretty good because you've got nil to stun, illness, and poison, so that's all great. It's just curse weakness on a physical damage dealer is just terrible, and I hate seeing that. Some units, they do that on some units, like Calistio also had the same issue. It's weird that they do that sometimes, but I guess, you know, you're just gonna have to make sure focus on your curse resistance, otherwise in some battles if an enemy can inflict curse, it's definitely going to be a problem. Or you can just put a support in your team with cure all or something, but I would still much prefer to have nil to curse because it's just so much easier that way. Especially if you try and use her in PvP, then she's going to get cursed quite a lot if you don't have any resistance to it. So her skills, I personally haven't looked too much at her skills, so I should probably have a brief look just to remind myself of the hit counts and stuff before I even talk about this. But basically, yeah, skill 1, medium area light combo attack, so there isn't much to that really. I'm gonna check the hit count. So skill 1 is 7 hit counts, 7 hits on her skill 1, which is alright. I think 7's kind of decent for a skill 1. We've seen some terrible hit counts, skill 1s like 4 and 5 are not that great. 7, her skill 1, there isn't much to it because it's her lowest DPS skill, so you won't be using a skill 1 like ever. So skill 2 does become a lot more interesting. Her skill 2 is a frontal long range light combo attack, and this is pretty great because it's long range, so we love seeing that. And I believe it is a piercing attack, so it can travel through enemies and hit enemies on the other side. So I do love those types of skills. This one is 11 hits, which could have been higher honestly, but the fact that it seems like it's pretty fast and it's long range and you can spam it, I think it's going to be a pretty nice skill. So her skill 2 definitely looks a bit better. Skill 1, I'm not a huge fan of it, but skill 2 is definitely looking a lot better. Now her skill 3 is definitely going to be 100% her best skill to use. So negative impact shield is going to be so crazy, honestly. Wide area light combo attack, right? But also gives a magic attack damage taken minus 50% buff to this unit. So Shalltear gets a buff to take 50% less magic damage, which is pretty crazy. Now, the main thing about the skill 3 though, is the fact that it's so damn fast, and it reminds me of Jian's skill 3, as well as Arngrim's skill 2. They're kind of similar, very similar. So it very much reminds me of those, just as like one wide slash basically, and it's incredibly fast, and it's 15 hits as well. So a 15 hit skill that you can just spam, and it is very fast. I think this is going to be some insane DPS, and people have already been saying that she's the best DPS unit in the game just for DPS, highest DPS numbers. She's going to be there, especially when you have a special buff active. It's going to be pretty crazy. So her skill 2 and 3 are going to be the skills you're probably going to be using most of the time. Her skill 3 is definitely one that you're going to want to focus on the most because it's incredibly fast and it's just a very good skill to use. So in PvE, definitely focus on her skill 3, and then when you don't have any skill 3 stocks left, then you can start spamming skill 2 while you try and restore SET to get your skill 3 back, and kind of, that's probably what I would do, is combo her skill 3 and 2, but try and spam her skill 3 as much as possible because that's going to be so great. Now, her special is actually adding quite a lot to her kit, because it gives her a unique buff, but let's have a look at it first. So it's a powerful light combo attack to one enemy. It says one unit, but one enemy. Give this unit a Ainz buff I don't know if I pronounced that right, but it just basically just gives her a buff that doubles skill hit count. You know how crazy that is, right? On a single wield damage dealer, doubling your hit count to basically become a dual wield damage dealer when equipped with only one weapon, once per quest. So, first of all, this is a special against, it does an attack against one enemy, and it has 53 hits, so the hits on her special are not bad, so it can do some damage. But obviously the main thing about this special is the fact that it gives her that buff that doubles her hit counts, and doubling hit counts is just insane for a single build damage dealer, because you can have like between or above 100,000 and 200,000 damage cap, and when you double that, it becomes insane, really. So now you're looking at a 30 hit skill free, and if you have 200k damage cap, which you can apparently reach on her skill free with 30 hits. I haven't done the math yet, but it's going to be very fast DPS, and that's just going to be insane. You know, like you can see already that if you have this buff active and you start spamming her skills as a single wood damage dealer, it's going to be just the best in the game, right? Like for DPS potential, this kind of reminds me of Virgil in a way, but it's better than that, because if you remember what he did, he also could double his hit counts, and he was a single build damage dealer as well. But she is way better because her damage caps are way higher, and this buff lasts 40 seconds, I believe. Obviously, the drawback of this is you have to use your special, which makes sense, and it's only once per quest. So you can only do this once, but as long as you're killing the boss in 40 seconds, there's no problems really. Like, killing pretty much anything in 40 seconds should be fine, as long as you have enough SCT and, you know, enough damage and damage cap. You should be completely fine, pretty much clearing everything. But obviously she is a light damage dealer, so she can't be used everywhere in the game. She can be used quite in a lot of places, but not everywhere, because some bosses will have high light resistance, so she can't clear every single boss. But the bosses that don't have incredibly high light resistance, or you can reduce their light resistance, she should be able to just completely destroy them because of her special giving her that buff that doubles hit counts only on her skills. So there's already potential here that I'm seeing with obviously this buff, which is crazy. Like, that's the main part of her kit that makes her just top tier for DPS. But even if she didn't have this buff, she still would be an incredibly good DPS unit. So you don't have to rely on this buff. It's just this buff is like a hell of a big increase, you know. So try to get this buff up if you can. Great War of Ruin on someone on your team will be very useful, because her special is going to be quite impactful because of that buff. But let's go over the traits next and have a look at what she has here. So trait 1, give physical attacks and specials a anti-undead, god and sorcerer type effect. So she gets undead, god and sorcerer slayer on her skills, well, on her every physical attack and her special, which is very nice. Basically like giving her buster for those. Having God Slayer is my favourite for PvE, because there are a lot of bosses that are God types, so I do like those Slayers. It isn't that many Slayers, like it isn't equivalent to like Divinity Buster or something, Divinity Slayer or anything like that, or Human Slayer, but it's still nice to have some form of Slayer damage, so that's okay. When equipped with only one weapon, so obviously she can only equip one weapon, then light damage 40% and damage cap 70,000. Some very nice damage cap there. Her damage cap is definitely going to be important, because the fact that obviously she can double her hit counts on her skills when you use her special, so every bit of damage cap will be useful on this unit, even more than normal units because of that hit count. Physical attack damage taken minus 30%. Okay, that may help somewhat in some stages, I guess, when skill attacking can't be interrupted by most attacks. This is amazing, obviously, for PvE. Some bosses that just continuously dish out attacks and like flinching your team, she should be able to just power through that and just keep spamming her skills non-stop, as long as you're obviously got your SCT and you can just press incredibly fast, then you should be fine with that. So I do really like that, because not being interrupted is just very useful on pretty much every unit of the game. You always like seeing that. Incredibly useful PvE. So in terms of PvP so far, there isn't that much here. Like, I really don't think she's going to be that good in PvP so far. I mean, the God and Sorcerer Slayer is very nice to have. Taking less physical damage is very nice to have for PvP, but let's see. So, trait 2, this one's great too. I like this one as well. Boost light damage cap and damage based on the number of HP recoveries from the Pipette's Lance skill effect. So we'll have a look at that in a moment. Basically, Pipette Lance, there's a chance to absorb HP when you're attacking enemies. So when that happens, when that procs, then it's going to boost your light damage and damage cap per recovery. So every time that procs, you're going to get more damage and damage cap, which is nice. But that basically means the longer she's in the battle for, and the more skill she's doing, then the more damage and damage cap she's going to get. So she's going to perform even better in longer boss battles, which is nice. I do like that. It just means at the start of battle she won't be at her maximum potential, but it shouldn't be that much of an issue, honestly. Maximum at 100 recoveries, you get 80% damage and 40,000 damage cap, which is pretty nice. And you add all of this on top of her trait 1, which has 40% damage and 70,000 damage cap. Both of these effects together, actually having some pretty solid damage and damage cap with those two. Very nice. But it gets even better. Well, resets each wave, right, makes sense. But the last part gets even better. When defeating an enemy, restore SCT by 5 seconds. Love that, because that'll make her pretty good at clearing waves as well. You can just go up to the enemies, use her skill 3 that clears most enemies, and you restore a bunch of SCT. It's going to be great. If the enemy is a divinity type though, it also restores 1 SCT stock for 1 skill. So think about this. SCT regen on any unit is always incredibly valuable, because SCT is obviously how you do damage on physical damage dealers. But being able to restore 5 seconds of SCT for every single one of your skills, it doesn't say for one of your skills, it just says restore SCT, so I'm assuming that means restores 5 seconds of SCT for every one of your skills. So skill 1, 2, and 3 should get 5 seconds, which sounds very good to me. But on top of that, if it's a divinity type, you're restoring 1 random stock. So if you kill a divinity enemy, then you're getting 5 seconds for every skill, but also 1 random skill stock, and that could be a skill 3, you never know, and that would just be incredibly good. And you can also stack this with other effects like Pose of Glory and, you know, any other weapons or something that you may have for SCT regen. But honestly, having this and Pose of Glory is already a hell of a lot of SCT regen when defeating enemies. Obviously you're going to need SCT before that, but once you start clearing waves and killing enemies, she should have quite a lot of SCT from that. So definitely for clearing story stages, she should be pretty useful, because of the fact that she can restore SCT quite easily when you kill enemies. So I do like this so far. This seems like pretty nice traits. One thing to note is there isn't any unique buffs or anything that she's giving to the team. She's more of a selfish unit, so everything she's doing here so far is buffing herself, but her main role is 100% going to be a physical damage dealer and pretty much the best DPS. So I'm fine with that, because since she's trying to be a very fast DPS unit, her kit just seems pretty good for that role, so I don't have any complaints about that. And Ainz likes to release some units like this. Like, if you remember Sonic, he was the best physical DPS unit in the game when he released, and his kit was also similar, where it was very selfish and it was all just buffing his own damage and damage cap, and he didn't have any supportive buffs. Not every unit has to have supportive buffs. I just like seeing them because they're more useful long term and they're more useful in PvP. You know, I like seeing those things. But definitely seems like so far she is more of a PvE focused DPS damage dealer. You know, that's what it seems like, and she should be pretty great. And it's already got some very nice damage caps here. You start off with the base 9,999, but you can also get plus 70,000 and plus 40,000 here, already reaching some pretty nice numbers. So now let's get on to the skills, which obviously gets quite interesting. Hey, guess what she has already? Pose of Glory, so you don't need to worry about teaching that. It's funny. It's only 2 SC, but still. Restoring 5 more seconds of SCT, so you're basically restoring 10 seconds of SCT for all of your skills whenever you kill an enemy. I love that. I do love that on units. So, attack up max, fighting spirit max, very nice. Anti-type boost because she does have slayers against undeads, gods, and sorcerers, so that's nice. And also anti-type breakthrough 3, even more damage cap. She will be getting the 6,000 damage cap, which is nice. Auto grab brave, awesome, love that on a physical damage dealer all the time. Auto haste, even more SCT, love SCT. I do like auto haste. It's just a very expensive skill that I would never teach, but when it is on their kit, it is very nice to have. Holy Armor 2, continuous Holy Wall 2 effect on this unit, so that will make her take less dark damage, I believe. Going to be quite nice against some enemies, I think. Not that many, but some. Pride, more strength, sure. Silver Lining is more skill damage at max HP, which she should be at max HP most of the time, honestly, because she has some good healing, and you should have a support in your team that should be healing, like spamming Glass Record or something. Light Mega Drive, great. More damage and damage cap is kind of what you're looking for. Damage and damage cap, especially damage cap for PvE, is going to be the most important for this unit. Even more damage cap, like physical and special damage cap, great, just all the time. And light attack raise 2, more damage, light attack raise 4, even more damage and damage cap, love it. Pose of Glory, yep, great. Blood Force, so Blood Force, it sucks, right? But I kind of expected her to have this, because, you know, she's more of a vampire type unit. This isn't the only skill she has for HP absorption, so don't worry about it. Yes, this skill kind of sucks because it's only regular attacks, but whatever, I can't do much about it. It's still a terrible skill. Even absorption, this one's a bit better. When taking physical / magic attack damage, then there's a chance to restore 50% of the damage as HP. Love that. Hey, how's it going? We're still just getting into the kit, but she seems like a pretty great PvE unit so far. You know, what this makes me think of, though, is could she potentially be a tank that's all about restoring HP? Like, put on Rainical, you know, and make her incredibly tanky, and put on every single damage healing skill. How would that even work? Like, would that even be viable? Would that even work as a tank? I don't know. I would say probably not, because most of her, you know, skills and traits are aimed towards damage. So I think just these by itself isn't going to be enough to be a tank for PvP. But they will still help in, obviously, PvE, and just anywhere that using her, just a bit of survivability, some healing, it's nice. More movement speed is going to be great because I don't know if she has any closer gap skills, it doesn't say here, but I'm hoping there is some kind of lunge to them, but it doesn't say here, and I haven't tested it yet. But more movement speed will at least help a little bit. Favoured sword, more damage and damage cap, love that all the time. Every single damage cap is going to be great on this unit. Two-handed spear. So there hasn't been anything in her kit up until now that has talked about spear. So trait 1 you can use any weapon you want. Same thing with trait 2, you don't have to use a specific weapon. But she does have spear boost skills, so you kind of need to use a spear because she has these skills, because you could use a sword, but what's the point? You're just wasting SC at that point because she already has these skills, so you're just much better off using a spear, I think, even if it sucks. So you get 20% physical damage, 10% crit rate, 5,000 damage cap, awesome. This one gives 30% damage, 12,000 damage cap. See, it's quite a lot on that one. I do like that. And then Spear Giga Boost, 15% physical damage, you take 15% less physical damage, and you get 3,000 damage cap. So all of these 3 skills here just makes it, you know, you pretty much have to use a spear because of these 3 skills, which is fine. The only problem being, we don't have that many good spears that are free to play accessible in the game. So we will look at what spears we have available later on once we go to equipment builds, but I know that we don't have that many, so I'm hoping we have at least a couple to use. But even if you don't have a very good one, you can still just put on any random spear that you have, because it's going to allow you to benefit from the 3 skills, which are already good. They're already very strong, so just make sure to use a spear. Armor boosts, yeah, sure. This by itself isn't that much, but it does help a little bit of survivability against bosses and a bit more defense, I guess. You don't have to use her armor. Maybe she has some 6th enhanced skill or something down there that requires her to use an armor as well, but I haven't looked at that yet. Armor HP plus, so yeah, make sure to use some form of armor because she is going to be a single move damage dealer, of course. Maybe you could use cloves because they are usually better for damage. Special damage and damage cap, sure. That's going to help a little bit, I guess. I'm never really a fan of these unless the unit has a very good special. She does have a great special, but it's mostly because of the buff. Quick Trigger, I do like Quick Trigger. It is a nice one. It costs 6 SC, but restoring one random skill at the start of the battle is just very useful because it could be your skill free, and if it does end up being a skill free, then you can use it and just clear a bunch of the enemies, and now you'll restore a bunch of SCT from killing them, so it's great. Sharp Eyes, okay. I honestly didn't think she would have this. When using a skill, use MP for damage, sure, we know what that does. It's obviously great for PvP, but I don't really use it that much in PvE because I prefer using like the skill that gives you strength when you're at max MP instead, because there are a lot of bosses now that have incredibly high defense, so I do kind of prefer that, but having Sharp Eyes is still nice for more damage. Giant Killing 3, love that, she's definitely going to be great against bosses. Now we get on to some more unique skills down here. Time Reverse is new. When close to death, very great at restore HP, and the HP recovery cap of this is plus 10,000, and this can happen 3 times per wave. So it's kind of like an Awaken in a way, but it doesn't give you a buff or anything, it just restores HP, and this can happen 3 times per wave. So this does help quite a lot with survivability in PvE. If there's some boss that's doing a hell of a lot of damage to you, this will help with that quite a lot, so I do like that. And if you have a healer in your team, she shouldn't have any problems surviving, she should be completely fine. As long as you have like support on your team, it should be great. Now, her collab unique skills, Guardian's Duty, this is pretty much the same as what Albedo has. It's basically the same thing. Critical damage taken minus 20% and anti-type damage taken minus 20%. It's a nice one, but it honestly doesn't help that much for PvE because there literally isn't really any boss that I can think of that does critical damage or anti-type damage, you know, like it's kind of hard to determine if they do that. Pipette's Lance is the skill that was mentioned in her trait 2. So let's see what that does exactly. When only one weapon equipped is 1 spear, well there you go. Now the game's just telling you, you have to use a spear no matter what, because of this. Obviously she's got her spear boost as well, but this just adds on top of that. And when you're skill attacking, there's a chance to absorb 1% of the damage's HP, but the recovery cap per hit is 999. So I can't really say if any of them is a must pull yet, because I'll be doing my conclusion and stuff later, but I can say that Shalltear is going to be the best physical damage dealer for DPS in PvE content. So if you want the highest DPS, then you should probably try to get her. For the endgame players that care about time trials, you must have her, yes. But if you don't care about the endgame, you know, top tier DPS stuff, then it's up to you really, but she is still going to be great for everyone. So going back to Pipette's Lance, I don't know what the chance of this is, but basically when you're skill attacking, there's a chance to absorb HP, and that can only restore a maximum of 999 per hit. And when that procs, it's also going to, you know, do the trait 2 effect, which boosts your light damage and damage cap. So this is a synergy here, which I think's nice, but basically you just spam skills, and as long as spamming skills, this will randomly proc, and then when this procs, you will get some more light damage and damage cap. So that's basically what it is. It's very simple, but I don't exactly know the chance of it. I'm hoping it's like 10% or something per hit. Something like that would be fine. I think that'd be great. Blood Frenzy. Okay, whenever using a skill, it boosts your strength and cuts mind. So maximum of 90% strength and mind minus 30%. This is great for, obviously, a damage dealer. It's very good because more strength the better for PvE, especially when you're up against a boss that has had a lot of stats, a lot of defense. Then this is just very useful for that. And since it's a unique skill, it's going to stack with all of your other strength up skills, like including pride and stuff. So she should have some pretty good strength in battle. When you're spamming her skills, she's going to get even more strength and have even more damage and damage cap. So just keep spamming those skills, and that should be no problem because her skills are very fast. So very nice stuff there. Last one here, I actually like this one too. When skill attacking, there is a chance to deal an extra attack. Now, I love extra attacks. Extra attacks in this game are basically the best effect in the game for DPS, maximum damage, because of the fact that your damage caps also apply to it. So it's basically doing a extra hit on top of it. So let's say, for instance, she has 200 damage cap, I'm just guessing, then, and this procs for an extra hit, then it's basically giving you an extra 200,000 damage cap hit, as long as that's hitting damage cap. So that by itself is a hell of a lot. So when that procs, this will be adding quite a bit of damage, and it does add to the DPS potential too, so I do really like this. And on top of that, when you have her buff from her special, which doubles her hit counts, that will make it more likely to proc this skill, because obviously you've got double the amount of hit counts, so you've got double the amount of hits to proc this skill, and I do like that, and I do really like this. So that is some great stuff there. Now we get onto the 6 enhanced skills down here, which are always great. So when only one weapon is equipped, then you get 20,000 damage cap. Some very solid damage caps for sure in here. I do like that. Boss wave start, special gauge plus 30%. I like that. If you don't have Great Roar of Ruin or something, then this will help with special gauge. So that's nice. Damage taken minus 10%. Yeah, that's always useful. Always like saying that. Spear mastery, even more damage, 10% physical damage, and 10,000 damage cap. So great. Even more damage cap. Love the damage cap. Armor mastery. So when you have an armor equipped, armor defense plus 50% and damage taken minus 10%. Basically, you would want to equip an armor. If you want maximum damage, you could use clothes instead. But if you want more damage mitigation and to take advantage of every single one of her skills, just her armor mastery skill and armor boost, then you should try to get an armor. But you don't have to use an armor, honestly. If you want more damage, more physical damage, you could just use clothes. It's up to you, really. Giant killing is even more damage and damage cap to bosses, sure, and the last one here is more damage and damage cap for anti-type damage. So, what I'm seeing here so far is there's a hell of a lot of damage cap, right? And some nice damage cap as well. She doesn't have that much damage mitigation in her kit, so I don't think she's going to be able to tank very well for PvP, but against bosses she should have enough damage mitigation, because she has this healing and she can absorb HP as long as she's attacking, skill attacking, and she does have a little bit of damage mitigation from like take less physical damage. But obviously her main part of her kit is her damage potential, and the fact that her special gives double hit counts for her skills is pretty insane. So she is definitely going to be the best damage dealer, physical DPS unit in the game for PvE content, because of the fact that her skills are very fast and her damage caps are quite good too. Now, her damage caps are not as good as Arngrim's damage caps, but the main difference being is that she has this buff that gives her double hit counts. That's what just makes her above everyone else, is this double hit counts buff. But even outside of this buff, she's going to be great because of her skill 2 and skill 3 being very fast, and her damage caps being pretty high, and also this skill down here having a chance to deal an extra attack. All of these things are great, so I'm really liking what I see for PvE content, and against bosses she's going to be incredibly strong for DPS. So I think she's definitely going to be one of the better units of the game for PvE content if you care about that. But for arena and guild battles, I don't think she's going to work there that well. We have much better units in the game for arena and guild battles, so I don't think she's going to really fit in there at all. But if you like PvE content and you don't really care too much about PvP, then she'll definitely be a unit for you, because her DPS potential is definitely the highest in the game at the moment. So I think she's definitely going to be a very strong unit for PvE content, 100%, and I'm looking forward to seeing that in action. I personally haven't tried her in battle myself yet. I'm really hoping I can pull her, because she seems like a unit definitely worth having if you care at all about time trials, or if you just want to clear things fast, then she's going to be the unit for you, really. But if you don't care about time trials and, you know, beating things super fast, then she's still going to be a great unit, of course. It's just her main draw is to those people, because she's going to be mostly for DPS. I'm hoping she has pretty solid damage, but in her kit, her damage seems pretty great, and she does have quite a good amount of damage cap as well, so I just think her kit is pretty damn good for a PvE damage dealer. And it's funny that I'm going to say this, but she is going to be better than Adele in terms of DPS, obviously, and like, if you want to beat bosses faster, she's going to be better. But the difference being, Adele isn't made for DPS, like, he isn't made to clear things fast. What he's made to do is do very strong damage against bosses and clear things easily. Now, Shalltear doesn't do that because she doesn't have Boss Slayer, like Shift Adele has Boss Slayer, which is Slayer damage against every single boss enemy. She doesn't have that, but what she does have is obviously Undead God and Sorcerer Slayer, so she still has some Slayers, and her damage should still be very solid. And she does have interruption, you know, immunity to interruption when skill attacking as well. So I do think she's going to be incredibly strong in PvE, and if you do manage to get her, she's going to be definitely the best unit in the game for PvE content, 100%. So I will definitely be coming back to her very soon, but for now, let's have a quick look at this arc. But honestly, this arc isn't as exciting to me. I much prefer the part 1 and part 2 arcs. But I still think this arc is a decent one to have if you do manage to get this. But the unit is a hell of a lot better than this arc in my opinion. Let's have a look at the trait first of all. The trait might be the best thing about this arc, honestly. It has a very nice trait. So, light physical damage, 20%. Just all the time, light physical damage. Very nice. Damage to undead, god, and sorcerer types. Is that spelt wrong? Or is that just me? That might just be me. It looks weird. Sorcerer types, plus 30%. Here's the main thing about this effect though. You're getting 20% light physical damage, right? But on top of that, you're also getting plus 30% damage, all damage to these types. Undead, god, and sorcerer types. Which is crazy to think about, really, for a arc trait. Usually, typically for arc traits, we get about 40% damage in an arc trait is usually what you would be looking for arc traits. But this is even better than that, because if you stack these together, obviously they multiply and end up being more, but this is basically giving you 50% light physical damage against those types, which is very nice. So, obviously for a light damage dealer, if you're up against a god type enemy, you're going to be getting both of these effects, and it's going to be quite strong. So I do like that about this arc trait. The only negative thing is there isn't any damage caps in this trait at all. So if you're looking for more damage cap as well, you're not going to get any here, which kind of sucks. But if you do want more damage, this is what it's for. So maybe it could be used in PvP potentially. Undead type, so if the unit using this arc is an undead type, then enemy attention drawn plus 1, and strength and defense plus 10%. So basically, if your unit is an undead type, you're going to be attacked more often, and you're going to get more strength and defense stats by 10%, which is okay. That is useful for an arc trait. It could be useful potentially in the future, or you could just put on undead mimicry on a unit or on a tank or something. You could take advantage of that if you want to. I think the main effect there is the enemy attention drawn. The 10% strength for defense by itself isn't that much. Armor equipped, magic attack damage taken minus 20%. That's pretty great. So I do like this trait overall. It seems pretty strong because you're getting a maximum of 50% damage, which is great. Obviously it's going to be more than that because they multiply and stuff, but there still is very nice damage there for a trait. And this effect for enemy attention drawn plus 1 could be useful maybe. And taking 20% less magic damage when you have an armor equipped, definitely useful. So I do like this trait. I just don't know when I would use it really. Like, there are so many good PvP related arcs in the game that I would probably prefer using, and there are so many good ones for PvP. So I don't know when I would use this. I think the one scenario where I would use this is if I was up against a boss that was one of these types, so either undead, god, or sorcerer, and also the unit that I was using was a light physical damage dealer. So in that scenario, I think this arc would be pretty good. But if I want more damage cap, I would prefer using an arc that gives damage and damage cap, you know, because in that case that it would just be much better. Like El Javana for single blow damage dealers is still very good because it gives you 6,000 physical damage cap, I believe, and some physical damage is still great. And there are other arcs available too that give you physical damage and damage cap. I prefer those. So this isn't the best for PvE. It isn't the best, but I still think it's pretty strong. Now, learnable skills are usually the most important thing about arcs, and is the thing that I look forward to the most, because learnable skills, having collab skills that are, you know, this is the only place that you can get these skills to teach on your units. I like those skills. but there isn't that many good skills in this learnable arc, honestly. This arc, honestly, doesn't have many good learnable skills. Like drive, fast regeneration, don't really care too much about those. So, it's got 2 collab skills. The first one, fully armed and armored. When you have an armor equipped, you get 12% strength and you take 7% less damage. I don't know if this is worth using for 6 SC. Honestly, maybe. If you're using this on a unit that needs strength and would like to take less damage, then maybe. But I don't really see myself using this for PvP because strength in PvP isn't that important, and taking 7% less damage for 6 SC isn't the best because there are a couple of skills that allow you to take 10% less damage from everything for 7 SC, which is 1 more SC but giving you 3% more damage mitigation. I mean, obviously the benefit from this skill is the fact that it's a collab skill, you can stack it with everything else, and it can give you strength as well as damage mitigation. So it's not bad, it's just not anything crazy. So I'm not that excited about this, and I probably don't see myself using it that often or at all. So I'm not that excited about that skill. Undead Buster could be nice. Maybe if you're up against a undead boss you could use this, but Buster skills I rarely use. Spear Mega Boost is definitely a very nice one that you could use on Shalltear, but apart from that, there aren't that many other units that could really benefit from this because there aren't that many spear units in this game, so it's kind of limited on how many units could use this, but it is still a nice one for when you do use a spear and you want to on a damage dealer. So that is nice in some cases. And then the final skill down here, True Vampire, sounds interesting. Mind minus 20%, but gradually boost your physical damage and damage cap. So the maximum of this is mind minus 20%, damage plus 50%, and damage cap 5,000. So basically you're always getting minus 20% mind, pretty much, is what it's saying. But it gradually boosts your physical damage and damage cap. I don't know how long you need to be in the battle for this to reach its maximum effect, and I don't know if it will be worth it. I think in incredibly long battles it'll be worth it, but for places that you want to clear things very fast in, like time trials, you're never going to use this, because it requires you to be in the battle for longer, and you kind of want to clear things as fast as possible. So this is kind of the opposite effect. If this was an effect that gradually reduces physical damage and damage cap, but you start with that damage and damage cap, then it would actually be insane. Now I think about it, because you get 50% physical damage. Yeah, that would be a bit too strong if I think about it like that. If you start with 50% physical damage in PvP for 8 SC, that's just going to be too broken. I get that. But yeah, I don't see myself really ever using this, just because you have to be in the battle for longer. Maybe in guild battles, now I think about it, for your attack team, potentially, maybe. You know, that's not a bad idea, honestly. You put it on your physical damage dealer on your attack team. Might consider that, now I think about it, it's not bad. But who even cares about guild battles? Like, probably not that many people at this stage of the game. But yeah, these learnable skills, I'm not that excited about any of these. Yes, they're okay, right? You could use them. Spear Mega Boost is always a great one to have if you don't already have it. I believe it's new. It's the first time we're seeing this on a learnable arc, so it is going to be great. And these 2 collab skills, they're nothing crazy. You could use them in some scenarios, so I do still think it's useful to have them. I just don't think there's anything super crazy here. But the Archive reward, this is an accessory. Stats look okay, but the trait seems pretty good, I think. Defense plus 5% by itself isn't really going to help that much, but spear equipped, if you have a spear, then you get 15% physical and special damage. That is a pretty good effect for an accessory. Obviously the drawback is you have to have a spear equipped, but if you're using a spear, then getting 15% physical and special damage is actually pretty strong for an accessory, because on average, usually accessories give 10% physical damage, so giving 15% is actually on the better end of accessories. I know we do have a few more accessories which give 15% or more than a 15% now, but if you don't have all of those, then this is better than a typical accessory that we use for 10% physical damage, so this is a pretty nice accessory. The problem with it is though, not many units use a spear, so you're not going to be able to take advantage of this that often because not many units can use a spear, but when you do use a spear, like on Shalltear, this will be a very good one for physical damage for sure, so I do like that. But if you do have the alternative accessories that gives you 15% damage already, then this won't be as useful, but maybe for guild battles it'll be more useful because of the fact that you're more limited on resources, and even the maze, if you haven't done the maze yet, then this will be useful there as well, on a physical damage deal that uses spear. So yeah, I do think this arc is actually pretty good. It doesn't have anything super crazy on it though. I still much prefer the part 1 arc, and probably even the part 2 arc, now I think about it, because I think that's a pretty decent one. But I don't think it's worth chasing for that hard, because you're not missing out on too much here. Like, everything here you could easily do without, and I don't mind if I don't get it, because none of this screams to me like I must use this on every one of my skills, every one of my units. Like, I don't think that's the case, because these are more niche skills that I would only use sometimes, and not many units can take advantage of, like Spear Mega Boost. So I think it's a good one. It's good to have, it's useful, but I still think the unit in this banner is definitely better. But here's the thing though, arcs are usually more useful long term, and once Shalltear gets power crept by an even better DPS unit, then probably the arc would be a bit more valuable. But right now, I can say Shalltear does seem stronger, like more useful at the moment, because she's the best DPS unit. But I still think they're both very solid, honestly. They're both pretty good. They would both be nice to have, but they're nothing that you need to chase for super hard. But because it is a collab limited banner, and you've only got 2 weeks to get stuff from this banner, I would recommend a try to pull, at least get one thing from this banner, and if you can pull one thing from each banner, then you're in a good spot for sure, because if you're someone that can spend a little bit, then doing the lap 1 of the step gacha is always a good idea, because it's quite cheap. But if you can't, then still try to pull one of the things from each banner, just because I think you have the highest chance for that. If you go to probability, you can see you've got 0.8% chance for the unit, and the same thing from the arc. So because of that, you've got a basically 1.6% chance of getting something new, one of the limited things, and obviously if you've already got one of them, then at that point it's a 0.8% chance. But I would just recommend to try and get one from each banner. That is usually what I try to do in these collabs that have a bunch of banners, is try and pull one thing from each banner, and then after that, in the last week or so, decide if you want to keep pulling and on which banner. So I will be coming back to talk about these banners a bit later on, like in my conclusion and stuff, but for the moment I do think this banner is pretty solid, and since all of these banners are limited collab banners, I definitely think it's worth trying to pull on each of them at least a little bit, but it depends on if you get lucky with tickets, and it's very important to make sure that you use all of your tickets first. So now we've talked about part 3 banner, let's have a look at Shalltear's paid equipments, because I believe she does have some pretty interesting paid equipments. So, Collab Credential 3. She has a spear and an armor, which makes sense, as pretty much what I expected. So let's have a look at her spear. She has a light spear, which obviously she's going to, and this will probably be her best in slot spear because we don't have many spears in the game. The trait on this one, when equipped with only one weapon, which obviously is going to be all the time, physical and special damage 35%, that's pretty nice, and a damage cap 8,000. 8,000's pretty crazy because she has that buff that doubles her hit count, and obviously she's got a skill that has a chance to deal extra damage, so this damage cap, basically double it when you have the buff active from her special, and it's just pretty damn good. That's a lot of damage cap. When physically attacking, there's a chance to absorb 3% of damage as HP. One thing I have to clarify is this does not proc her trait 2, because that only procs when her Pipette's Lance skill procs, and this is not that skill. This is a weapon, so even though it's pretty much the same effect, this won't proc it because it's different, you know. And the trait specifically says from that skill, so any form of healing from this trait is basically just bonus healing, and I think it's nice. It's some good healing, some damage mitigation, I guess. And because she has resistance to interruption in her trait 1, she can be using her skills while she's getting hit. So because of that, this does become quite useful, having some form of healing. But 100% the best thing about this trait is the damage and the damage cap. So I do think this spear is definitely going to be her best one for sure. It is a very strong one. I'm honestly considering getting this one because this just seems like a very strong one, especially for PvE. This will be the one that every single endgame player for time trials is going to be using because the damage cap is very good. Now let's have a look at the armor. Honestly, this one, I don't know how to think about this one. So give you strength, defense, mind. The trait is kind of a bit weird, honestly. Physical attack damage taken minus 30%, sure. Damage taken from undead, god, and sorcerer types, minus 20%. Strength / defense, plus 12%. So here's the thing about this trait. It's basically only giving you damage mitigation, right? Well, yeah, it's also giving you 12% strength, but that's hardly any damage. But for a damage dealer, the damage mitigation isn't really that important, because she has enough damage mitigation in her kit, I think, and you can just put on a Renner in your team as a healer and just spam a glass record or something, and you'll be completely fine. You can debuff the boss, that's all you need, really. You don't really need the damage mitigation from this trait, so I just don't think this armor is that useful for PvE content. Where this becomes useful is obviously in PvP, so if she ends up being pretty good in PvP, then this will be her best in slot armor that will be amazing for PvP because the damage mitigation is very good for PvP. But against bosses, I just don't think it's necessary, honestly. If this armor and a full tank build can make her tanky enough to be a very strong tank in places like arena and guild battles and be able to tank 0, then I would consider this armor. But if she cannot do that, then do not get this armor because I just think it's a waste, and you're much better off just getting this spear for her maximum DPS potential, because that is her main role to begin with. So because of that, I would just recommend to get her spear as the #1 option. And if you're considering using her in PvP, then maybe wait for the moment for more people to test her out with tank builds and stuff, because if it turns out that she can be a good tank in PvP, which I doubt it, then her armor will be worth getting. But if not, which I think is going to be the case, then definitely get her Lance, which is better. That is if I were to choose one. But obviously, if you're free to play, don't worry about it. And just use any spear that you have, because she does have spear boost and she does require a spear. But her paid spear is definitely going to be a pretty damn good spear, especially if you want her to reach her maximum potential. So I'm considering getting her spear. Don't worry about her armor, honestly, because that is only useful for PvP pretty much, and I don't think she's really going to work there that well unless she can be a tank, which isn't really her main role. Her main role is a physical DPS unit, so I just think just get a spear if you've got one choice. But if you're a little bit worried about PvP and you care about it, then just wait for the moment for more testing. That's all I can say. So that's everything regarding the unit and the Part 3 banner for the moment, I think. Obviously we've got Collab Medal 3. Each banner has its own separate medals, which I hate. I wish it was all combined into one. The event now has, obviously, Shalltear's prisms. One prism there. You can also get some tickets in there too. I don't think I'm crazy, I have to check this, but was it spelled incorrectly? Because I want to know. And I do want to do some summons in a moment. Yeah, it's an O. I thought I was crazy, but I'm not crazy. It's an O. Sorcerer. 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 That sounds wrong. I don't like saying that. But yeah, they mistyped that, which is funny to me, and it's hilarious. I have to point it out, because if I see a typo, I have to point it out. That's just what I have to do. Okay, well, I think that's everything that I want to talk about for the Part 3 banner for the moment. There are still quite a few things that I want to do today. I believe we should probably start off with the summons, see how it goes, and then we can start showcasing the units. My talking's terrible today. Start showcasing the unit after the summons, and then after that I do want to talk a bit more about how Ainz and Albedo have been performing for me, because they are actually quite interesting, and I've been liking Albedo a bit more than Ainz. Ainz just a bit underwhelming, but I will talk a bit more about him later on. So let's do the summons and hope we get the unit, because that's the #1 thing I want from the Part 3 banner. I doubt we get anything from tickets, because I rarely do, and we didn't get any tickets last time, so let's hope we get the unit as soon as possible, because I would love the unit. But I'm not going to pity, because I don't want to pity, and I'm trying to make my crystals last as long as possible. I'm probably going to skip this, but I just want to see how many animations there are, just in case. Nah, this is only one, there's nothing in there. What I expected, pretty much. Now we can get onto the temples. I got 2 temple tickets. Well, this temple and then 1 temple ticket. Obviously nothing in here, right? Yeah, it's a blue, that's terrible. I'm gonna watch it anyway. I have to watch it. I got all these tickets from the event. Just to let you know. There's a temple ticket in one of the event stages. You can do one of the event stages. Yeah, like I expected, nothing in there, because no one's showing up. And then we get 1 free temple ticket, which is the last ticket that I have for now. There are a couple more single tickets in the login event, so if you want to, you know, try and save your crystals as much as possible, then I would recommend to wait until we get those. I'm really hoping that I get her from this temple, but I don't think that's going to happen at all, because my luck with tickets lately have been terrible. Yeah, seeing it's a blue, I don't even have any hope that there's a red in this one, but can there at least be one? I don't think so, honestly. 1, 2, 3 animations, but that's not always a guarantee, considering it was a blue to show up. There is a red. I don't think it's going to be new, is it? No. That was sad. I really thought one of them was going to be new, but it wasn't. Disappointing. Again. Tickets. I haven't gotten a single thing from tickets in this collab, which is sad. I'm going to be doing lap 1, and then we'll see. We'll get what happens, and I'm really hoping we get the units. There's gonna be nothing in here. I'm just gonna skip that one. I'm not fussed about the arc, honestly, and I'm not pitying anything in this banner. So the medals that we get from these summons, I'm going to be using for more tickets to try and get lucky from tickets, because I don't want to pity, and I'm not going to pity. Because I honestly don't really care too much about time trials that much anymore. I've never really been try hard on those in a while. Yeah, obviously gold, it's not going to be any red in those. Pretty much what I expected. There is, yeah, obvious chance that that can happen, but you don't always get something new when that happens, so can you please get something new? I would like that to be the case, but it's probably not going to happen. So this is the last cheap pull that we have left, and then we'll have to just do some free crystal summons, but this one's terrible. Lilibet, no one in there. I'm going to watch it anyways, but no, I'm not. Yeah, well, that does give 11 credentials, so I might consider getting her paid spear, but I don't want to do that yet, because that will end up being a waste of crystals if I don't get her at all. I will be doing a few summons in this gacha for free crystals, and I'm going to hope to try and get something on here, and if we do, then that's great. But I'm not going to be spending everything on this banner. Please be a gold. Yes, that is more promising, but it isn't a guarantee. It's still random. It just feels more promising when you see it a gold and not blue. More likely to get a red when it shows up gold, but not always, because the animations, and there's only 1, 2 animations. There has to be a red because there's 3 animations, right? Yeah, that's what I thought. Can you be a unit? Yes, it's a unit, but it's not going to be new, is it? If it's new, it's not new. No. Okay, well, I can't complain about that, honestly. But guess what? There's a unit in here. Oh. Well, the arc is okay. Like, it's a nice one. Right, I can't complain about that. So, that's nice. But I did say I wasn't really... I wasn't really too fussed about the arc. I didn't really want it. So I'm still going to be doing some single pulls to maybe get another unit. Would be very nice, because the unit is the main thing that I did want from this banner. Because I did manage to get Ainz from a single pull in the first stream, and I did manage to get the part 2 arc from a daily pull over the last week, so that was nice. I do like doing single pulls. I have a lot more. Only a blue. I'm not watching if it's a blue, only if Tharia shows up and it's gold. Or Zeka shows up and it's gold. That's the only scenario that I'd watch it. I won't be pulling super hard. It's only a blue. I'm going to watch it just in case, because I'm just remembering I have a couple of medals, so I should be spending those medals for more tickets right now. If you remember, I got an Ainz dupe from tickets, and that was incredibly sad. I don't want that to happen again. I could always pity the unit from Step Gacha and stuff, but I'm not doing that, because it's not a super, like, PvP meta unit that I care about. So, save up for a temple ticket. No, I'm just going to be doing these single pull tickets, because I doubt we're even going to reach 100 medals, because I don't think I'm going to be doing that many. So the question is, do I even try going for her spear? Because if I do, then I must have the unit, but... No... Because I don't want to get the spear and then not end up getting the unit, you know, because that'd be a waste, so... I would prefer just doing... 3 crystal single pools is there. I'm gonna do some more. Try and get a couple reds, maybe like 1 or 2. And then... I don't know. We'll see. I will definitely still do some testing, because I can test her in the unit test play quest, but apparently her special is bugged at the moment, that it doesn't give her the buff, which kind of sucks. Gold. No. Yeah, the limited arcs are always pretty useful. There's a gold, but it's only Zekka's by himself is going to stay gold. I have to watch it. I don't want to skip every single one, but I will once it does this. Oh, there's a red. Unit, unit! No. Well, it was, but... I would really like to get the unit, honestly. Like, she seems like a very good unit. But... Damn it. This sucks. The dupes, man. Yeah, I do think Albedo's my favourite out of this collab so far in terms of units. I'm trying not to buy any crystals. I'm trying to get things cheaply, but it doesn't always work out for me, does it? Well, it has been pretty good recently, honestly, I can't complain. I should remember to go to the trading space regularly to get tickets, so just in case. This is how you should be doing your summons. Just like me. Well, kinda. Not exactly, because if you were smarter than me, you would wait until you had every single ticket from the login event, but I can't be asked to wait that long. And this is more content for everyone, so... And I would like to build her and mess around with her, because that's fun, but... You know, can't get every single unit, because that would be too much, would it? The rear is nice, but... it's probably just gonna not have any animations, is it? Yeah, she is pretty overpowered in PvE in terms of DPS potential. No. Yep, I thought they would do that, because I expected that. That happens sometimes. No animations, and then it goes, oh, just stay gold, because I can't be bothered to go up. Yeah. Yeah, Albedo's definitely the most interesting, because she can be a tank, or she can be a damage dealer, or she can be both, you know? I think it's very nice. She's very nice. Yeah, I know. But patience pays off. And that is probably why I'm doing single pulls right now, not a 10 pull, because patience pays off. Right? Maybe? No? Well, I'm just hoping that when I press the skip button, a unit is going to appear on my screen right here. But, like, after the white screen is going to be a unit, but... I don't like seeing that, you know? I really don't, because it's just... it's sad. No. When have you ever gotten a red on a single pool when no one's shown up? Like, never. No. A little bit. I'll try and get another red. Get a training space, get another ticket. I don't want to be here all day though, because I do still want to test her out in the unit test play quest and talk about the part 1 units, because that'd be interesting. I'm just hoping the unit pops up when I press this button, but like right now, you can only hope. That's all we can do. Yeah, any new player that can get Ainz, or honestly, any of the collab units and arcs is going to be in a good spot, especially the units, because they're going to help carry you through the story. They're just going to make it so much easier. So, definitely, if you're literally just starting today because of this collab, then it's a good time to reroll and try and get some of the limited things, because they are quite solid. They are very good. Nothing is super meta. Well, I lied, actually. Some, like, Shalltear super meta, PvE, DPS, but not, like, super overpoweredly crazy like Zero or Lilahar. Yeah, there needs to be an RNGesus coming down to give me a unit that's not a dupe, but looks like a no to me. Honestly, part 1 and part 2 was decent. That worked pretty well. Part 3 is not terrible. Because I did manage to get the arc, so I'm at least happy with that. I wish I could say that though, but even though it's something I didn't wanted, but I can't complain about it. No. Yeah, Lilahar is still the best mage. Ainz, Ainz tried to be the best mage, he really did, but it's just most of his magic being just useless, it kind of sucks. Come on, unit. I want to say unit appear. The Rio. No. I'll watch it anyway, just in case, but... No. See? I don't want to use every single one of my crystals, I really don't. And I won't. But... Unit? Nope. Zekis... No. Nah. I mean, I do like seeing Faria, but like, it means nothing when all I see is this, you know, like a blue and this, gold constantly. It's just useless. Okay, well, I'm gonna try and get one more red, okay? And I will check the trading space for more tickets. But I don't think we'll be able to get her today, because I'm not going to be doing too many. Yeah, collab units in this game, well, arcs in general are very, very good. There we go, there's another ticket. Yeah, it's just the one negative thing about this game is the gacha, and I don't like the gacha system. I mean, I've never complained about it because I've always just been usually lucky, right? Or just got it anyway because just wanted to, but trying not to buy everything. This one ticket could give me, but it won't. Nope, it's a blue. Yeah, Diaz is great. Great unit, for sure. I'm still gonna try and do a few more summons, but it seems like I'm probably not gonna get her spear. Maybe. Albedo's arc, I mean, you don't really need it, honestly. It is still solid, but it's not anything that you must have, you know? If you already have Albedo, then you don't need her arc, really. Because you've already got one thing from that banner, and honestly, if you get one thing from the banner, you're fine. The Part 1 arc is the best one. It's a gold, but we know when it's a single pull that means nothing. 1, 2, 3. Was that? No. What is this? Yeah, it is a dupe. Exactly what I was gonna say. I'm kind of considering going for the final ticket for 15 medals and then stopping after that. That's kind of what I'm thinking right now. Because that might be a smart play. She will be great, and I'm sure she'll be used a hell of a lot in time trials. That's why I'm trying to pull her. Because I know she's already good, people have already tested her. She'll be great to have, but doesn't appear on the screen. I don't know why Tharia appears if she's just going to be by herself, because it just doesn't work. I don't know how many medals I have now. I will be saving some. I mean, this is a collab banner. She may never come back, but I ain't worried about that, because I'm trying not to worry about things like that anymore. Because worrying about things means it's not fun, is it? If you worry about things, where's the fun in that? This could be a gold. It's probably a gold, isn't it? Yep, I knew it. I know this capture so well. The animations, I know exactly what's going to happen most of the time. How many medals now? Maybe 15, probably not. I'm not going to be pitying anything. I don't want to. 11. Well, I will get 15. I will be looking at alternatives in a moment. After we've done the summons, I'll go over to recommended equipment. Even though I don't have her, I'll still be doing that if I remember. I should do. Mother Souls are quite easy to get. Well, at least in a lot of events you can get Mother Souls quite easily. Just use it on your... Try and focus on one main unit, I guess, if you're completely new. The blue. I hate blues. The normal souls is for ascending and stuff like that. Enhance and awakening. Yeah, we're not getting the unit today. I think kind of sucks because it's the one thing I wanted from this banner. But I still have some hope, you know, because we have daily gachas here per day for the next 2 weeks, right? That's 14 more pulls, right? And there's still some tickets in the login, so maybe Yeah, you should always be using your unit souls on awakening and not for increasing SC. Here's the last ticket, I think, for now. I don't really want to do too many because then I end up wasting crystals, and you know, I said I wasn't going to pity and I have to stick by it because at this point it would be stupid if I were to pity because I used all my medals already. Well, nice blue in this ticket. Great. Yeah, a little bit not great. Let's have a look. I don't know what I'm saving these for, honestly. I'm just trying to, you know, make them last as long as I can. I could have maybe done a couple more, but like, maybe I'll try and get one red, finish it on a high note, I guess. What I always say. No, it doesn't work. I know. Yeah, it should be good with a lot of stuff, honestly. You could use Great Wall of Ruin on someone else. You'll be much better off doing that. Great Wall of Ruin on your support unit. And then Shalltear can have a damage-focused arc that can give damage cap or something. Yeah, well, you should be able to just skip forward, right? And you can always watch this stream later if you want. There's a blue. I hope there's a red in here, but there's not gonna. I just want a red. I don't like seeing no reds. It's sad. Yeah, I'm not trying that much more. I'm only going to be doing a couple more. Just to try and get one red. And then once we get one single red, I'm going to be stopping completely. Not doing any more pulls. Yeah, the arc skill, getting those UR Stardust is kind of a pain. But if you play long enough, you can get a good amount of those. Because I have a hell of a lot of them. But I have been playing pretty much since the game came out, so that's why. Come on, I want one red, and then I don't care what it is. After that, I will be stopping completely and not using any more crystals on this banner. 100% is my plan. Well, there you go. Get what you ask for. I ain't doing it anymore. I don't wanna. I mean, I still want the unit, but I don't wanna. I did manage to get something, so that's nice. The only problem is I can't really take advantage of this accessory, you know, because Shalltear would use this, but who else can use this? Like, not really anyone else, that's the problem. Yeah, I don't have any more tickets. I already used all the 5 tickets, so I kind of used everything that I possibly have right now. Obviously, I could just use crystals, right? But I don't want to spend every crystal, you know, because I don't really want to buy any more crystals in this game, because we don't know how long this game is going to be around for, but we'll have to see. These skills are still okay to have. I just, without Shalltear, I can't really take advantage of these skills that much, and this arc in general, I can't really use it, you know? But maybe I can find a scenario where I could use this. but I don't know at the moment. I guess I'll level this up. I'm getting pretty close to level 62, kind of. I say close, but it's not actually close, because a little bit is still a lot. It takes forever to get a little bit of XP in this. So, there's still some things that I want to do. I don't want to do any more summons today, but I will be doing some tickets and single pulls in my own time. Yeah, well, maybe. I'm hoping that my patience pays off in the end, and that I manage to get her from tickets or a single pull, but we'll see if that happens. The one thing I'm worried about is time trial is next week, and not having Shalltear, I won't be able to compete at all. I just can't compete unless I get Shalltear. That's just a problem. But part of me's not worried about it, because I don't really compete anymore in time trials. So something I want to do now is I definitely want to have a look at recommended equipment and stuff for Shalltear. Yeah, definitely wait for all your tickets, because it's the most important thing for sure. Definitely very important. I'm only going to be doing more summons if you pay me to, but obviously no one's going to do that. No one even uses the link I have, but I ain't complaining, just pointing it out there. Yeah, there's a hell of a lot of units and arcs in this game that can get a lot of account XP. Let's just go to a random unit that can use a spear, just so I can have a look at spear options. Actually, I know who can use a spear. That's you, just for the sake of it. So this is my budget Shalltear for now. just take that. So, recommended equipment. Obviously, Shalltear can only use a spear pretty much, because a lot of her kits, like her trait 2, is basically locked behind using a spear because of her Pipette's lance skill requiring you to have a spear equipped, and the fact that she does have some spear boost skills. Basically need a spear. So let's have a look at what spears we have in the game, but I'm thinking that we probably don't have that many. Yeah, I used to try to go for literally everything. I started off, you know, free to play, but then I started spending a lot more, and now I'm trying to go back to free to play. Honestly, now I'm looking at it, we do have some decent spears. Like this one, Celestial Halberd, isn't that bad. Gives you 15% physical damage. Like, yes, it's not the best. It doesn't give you any damage cap or anything, but it is still some damage on a spear, so you can't complain about that. Dragoon Spike, I probably wouldn't really use that. I've never really used it. It's not that great. Like, you can sometimes use it, but I'm not that much of a fan of it. This one, the bull meat arc page spear thing, archive rewards, physical attacks, anti-soldier and sniper effect. If you need that, then this will be useful for that, but apart from that, you're probably just better off not using it. Javelin, damage to sorcerer and soldiers, 20% when physically attacking enemy defense minus 10%. Maybe is something, but it's not that great. Let's just have a look down here, see if there's anything useful. This one's not bad if you're against a soldier type boss or something, maybe more damage, but yeah, there isn't. This one's nice. I honestly can't tell you exactly where every single weapon comes from, but this one's not the best, but it's decent. Yeah, there's a hell of a lot of collabs in this game. It's kind of a problem, but collabs are still very fun. This one's dark. I don't know if I would use that. Maybe. Yeah. Honestly, I think I probably just use Celestial Halberd, because it gives 15% physical damage. Like, it's not the best one. But if you don't have that at the moment, then obviously I'll just recommend going for any spear that could potentially give Shalltear some form of physical damage. That's against undead boss monsters, very specific, it's not that great. There aren't that many, really, like there's really not that many good spears. Regular attacks, yeah, that's not really that useful. Crit damage, break value, not really that useful for her at all. This one's kind of like a budget Trishula, maybe. If you're going up against an enemy that has high light resistance, then maybe this could be useful, but yeah, there aren't that many very strong free-to-play options, but you can definitely at least find something. I just recommend go to your spears, have a look, see if there's anything that gives you light damage or physical damage, and just use one of those that you have, because yeah, they're not that many, but I'm just going to be using Celestial Halberd for now, because it's free-to-play accessible spear that you can get in Godforge. If you play long enough and you get those materials, then you can get that. Now, for armor, she does have a few armor boosts skills. She's got armor boost, and she's got a Sick Enhance skill, Transcend armor boost skill. So I will be looking at armors, but as we know, there aren't really that many armors, or like hardly any, like nothing in the game that can give damage on an armor, so there isn't really anything good here, because it doesn't really matter what you use, because nothing's going to give you damage anyways, and since she's a damage dealer, that's kind of what you're going to be looking for. So for that reason, there isn't really any good armor that I'd recommend, unless you just go for something like this, or something. But obviously the best option for physical damage would be clothes, and here's where you start getting the good ones. Like these ones, very good, because this is Godforge as well. A lot of these equipments are Godforge equipments, but this one giving 15% skill damage, definitely my favourite one. I would definitely consider using this. This is probably my favourite one to use on Shalltear. That is probably what I would use if I didn't have her paid armor, and you probably just don't get her paid armor. Even if I did have her paid armor, this one gives damage. Her paid armor doesn't give damage, so I would just prefer this one, honestly. And then any form of clothes that gives physical damage will be great. She is an undead type unit, so do keep that in mind. Because she's not a soldier type, she can't take advantage of this one, but you could put on soldier mimicry, but you're still just much better off using this one. So I'd probably use these two, honestly. I would only recommend pulling for Ainz if you don't have a mage. If you don't have any mage at all, then maybe go for Ainz, but Shalltear is probably just way better, honestly, so probably better just going for Shalltear. But if you don't have anything from either of the banners, then yeah, Shalltear's better than Ainz. Ainz is kind of the worst unit out of this collab, but he's still pretty good. He's not bad, he's great, but he just could have been better, you know, and his damage cap isn't that great. It's just a bit underwhelming, but he's still solid. But the value in Part 1 banner is also the arc, so you could maybe potentially get the Part 1 arc, which is the best thing, the best arc in this collab at the moment, so up to you really, but Shalltear is definitely the best unit option, for sure. For accessories, it's we do have quite a good few options for accessories for Shalltear, because she's a light physical damage dealer, and as you know, we do have quite a few accessories that give light damage or some form of like physical damage or just physical damage in general. Mithril Relief will work because it gives you 10% skill damage all the time. The movement speed you won't get because she uses a spear, but this still gives you 10% skill damage, so it is something, but it's not the best option. I would recommend some down here, like Equilibrium Sphere, still one of my favourite accessories. Even gives you curse resistance. This one definitely going to be one of her best accessories to use, so definitely try and use that. And then the second accessory, maybe a second accessory for that can also give curse resistance would be nice too, like this one. This one gives curse resistance and it gives 10% light attack damage. So honestly, Sun God Magic Armor, actually a good option because it gives, both of these give curse resistance and they both give light damage, so I would love these. These would actually be pretty good on her because she has weakness. Having these two accessories will make her have resistance to curse, which is quite useful. So those two are pretty nice, but if you don't have those, there are still some other ones. Obviously anything that can give physical damage, as you know, is going to be great on her. Damage against bosses, stuff like that is going to be great. Archbeing, this one's a good one, but I don't think it's as useful because it doesn't give any curse resistance, and I do value curse resistance a bit more on this unit because she is a main physical DPS unit, and if she gets cursed, it will be a problem, and I do think having some curse resistance on an accessory is more useful. This one still gives only 10%, so yeah, I would still prefer other ones. And there should be some stuff down here as well. Obviously this one's always great for maximum damage, love that one. That one gives skill damage. Divinity type enemies, if you're up against a boss that is a god type or something, then this will be great for that. Spring, I love a spring. I still love a spring. You know what? Archangel's bracelet is actually going to be pretty nice because she does do some extra attacks. Like, it's not very often, but she does have one skill that can do some extra attacks, so you do get a tiny bit more value from this accessory. Not that much, but a little bit. So it's technically a little bit better than something like Mithril Leaf or anything else that gives 10% damage. It's a little bit better. Fabled City is always a great one. Gives you skill damage and damage cap. But yeah, those are all the options. If you've got any of these, a lot of these are limited. But like I say, go for something that gives physical damage or light damage. I'm going to be using this build. Obviously I can't test her out because I don't have her yet at the moment, but I will still be using her in the unit test play quest in a moment. But this is the kind of build that I would be aiming for if I were using Shalltear for like damage build. But it does become a little bit different if you're going for damage cap, and if you're already hitting damage cap, then that is when this build could change a little bit. Like, you could just use a different accessory for damage cap. That would be better. If you're already hitting damage cap then and you don't need the damage, then could just go for damage cap accessories instead. Like, this one's nice, gives 1000 damage cap. Even though 1000 isn't that much, it is still something because she does have the double hit counts on her special. So yes, 1000 won't do very much, but it's still better than nothing. Because of that, Fabled City is probably going to be better than one of these two, but it doesn't give curse resistance. That's why I'm using these two right now. But yeah, pretty sure that's everything regarding Shalltear's equipment. It's pretty simple really. Use a spear. You can even go for an armor or cloves. Cloves is only if you need more physical damage. And the accessories can be anything that gives some form of damage or damage cap, depending on where you're using her in and depending on if she's already hitting damage cap or not. Some accessories like these two can give curse resistance, which is a lot more useful, so I would definitely recommend something like this or similar. But again, just go have a look at what you have and try and build something similar to this. It doesn't have to be exactly the same because this won't be the best in every single scenario, because obviously if you want more damage cap then that is going to be better in some cases. But yeah, that is all for recommended equipment. I do still want to test her out because that will still be fun. I will definitely be talking about the units and banners and everything towards the end. Probably after I showcase Shalltear, I will talk a bit more about the Part 1 and Part 2 units, because I have tested them a bit more. So let's go to Unit Test Play Quest first of all. Try out Shalltear. Apparently she's bugged at the moment where her special doesn't get the bonus hit counts. Their current builds, yeah, makes sense. Both paids, of course. This is a pretty good build, but obviously you don't need this armor. The lance is amazing, it's great, but the armor, you don't really need to buy that, honestly. Like, the spear is just way better than the armor in terms of damage. Of course, let's try this out. So I haven't tried her in battle yet, but I've heard she's pretty damn good, and I've seen the video but didn't look too in depth at the video, so I didn't look too hard at exactly what her skills were like. So let's first of all try skill 1. I think skill 1 is her least impressive skill. So her base skill stocks being 4, 4 and 2. Okay, makes sense. Normal attack. Yeah, I mean, what can you expect from a normal attack? It's just a normal attack, really, but... Skill 1. What's the range of the skill 1? It does have some launch, some lunge to it. Oh yeah. Every time I'm using a skill, she's going to be getting more damage and damage cap. That's just what I'm noticing right now, of course. It's not that I forgot, I just... seeing it in action now. Every hit, more damage cap. See the damage cap's going up. So let's see how fast you can spam this. You know, his skill 1 is not terrible. That's the funny thing, is it's actually not bad. Skill 2, I believe this is the long range skill and I can use it from anywhere. That's pretty nice. Let's actually see the damage numbers. It feels pretty fast. And I just realised I'm not on the Steam version, but what are you gonna do? Fine. It is definitely more laggy on emulator. Okay, that's pretty damn fast. Like, yeah, that's pretty crazy. I am noticing the healing as well. That's cool. Haven't even gotten to her skill 3 yet. Okay, before we get any further, I need to go to Steam because I can't do emulator anymore. It's terrible for performance. Sucks. Terrible. Yeah, her skill 2 is actually amazing. I like it. And the funny thing is, it's not even her best skill. Her skill 3 is even better than that, which is surprising. Crazy. But it doesn't surprise me that of course they would make a part 3 unit. Pretty damn strong. Let's go in there again. Try out her skill 3. Haven't tried that yet. And maybe try comboing skill, see if that works. And a special as well. Will be fun, but it's probably still bugged. That's a lot better. It was pretty great. So 13, trying to notice the extra hits for the moment. 14, yeah, 12, 11, oh it keeps going down, why? Oh yeah, base of 11, oh, yeah, That's pretty good then, right? 14 as 3 extra hits. And the boss is already dying. I didn't mean to kill him, he just died too quickly. 200,000 already. Yeah, this is already seeming like it's pretty crazy. I haven't even got to the skill 3 yet, and she's already killing this guy pretty damn fast. The extra attacks do seem pretty good. I love them. Extra attacks always great to have. Now let's go to the skill 3. This is the main skill. So what's the range on this one? Yeah, you can see how fast this is. Now watch me press this button twice. Well, yeah. It definitely reminds me of Jian's skill 3. Like a big slash. Well, yeah, there's a bit of delay, but honestly it doesn't matter. And you could put on like Purple Orb. Now you've got 3 skill stocks you can put on. Council of 10, now you've got 4 skill stocks of your skill 3. Okay, well, this is without even using a special. Keep that in mind. She's already incredibly good without using her special to double her hit counts. But I don't think I can showcase that because currently not working in here. But I'm gonna use a special anyways. She's just gonna melt a lot of bosses. Let's start off with the special. Not gonna do that much damage, but it's not that bad. It does look pretty cool, but it goes on for quite a while. The animation's pretty long. Yeah. So, as you can see, she doesn't get a buff, but this is because the unit test play quest is bugged. Now, what should happen is she should get a buff from, you know, her trait, right? Not her trait, it's her special itself should give herself a buff, right? And that buff would then double her hit counts. So then this would be doing double the amount of that. But obviously I can't showcase that right now. But you can see if this amount of hits were to be double, you can see that it would be pretty damn crazy, right? Because she's already killing this guy pretty damn fast. I know they're weak, but still, just look at how much health they have. You know, it's great. I love her skill too, it's great. And finish her off in that. Yeah, this is pretty crazy. Honestly, the extra attacks seem to proc pretty often. At least, that's what I'm seeing. So I'm wondering what the percentage chance of that is. But they seem to happen pretty often. And this is without the double hit counts. So imagine this, but double the amount. That's basically what got a picture. And that's going to be pretty crazy. Let's do this one more time. Just kind of put everything together. And then probably start talking about the other units soon. So what I would, if I was using her for like maximum DPS potential, maybe I just kind of want to see her range. I think her range of her skill 3 and skill 1 is pretty much the same, right? It should be. Well, the skill 1 has a bit more reach when you're going, like, sideways, up or down. So, I'm trying to pay attention to the healing now, so if I use a skill 1, I'm going to see how many times 999 pops up. It didn't even do it that time. Great! That was like twice. So that means it will boost the trait 2 twice, because it proc twice, right? Now if I use one skill 3, that happened too many times, I can't count them. Great! 1, 2, probably more than 2 on it. Yeah, it actually procs quite often, which makes me happy. Because you have to have it proc maximum of 100 times. Which should be no problem as long as you're spamming skills like this, because you can see all of those healing was just from that trait, right? Yeah, all of those numbers is, each one is increasing her damage, and damage cap, which I like seeing. One skill 2 gave me 2 of those healing. That gave me 3. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, it's pretty good. And also, one thing to keep in mind is doubling her hit count, right, with a special, will make her heal even more. So, more hit counts, more healing, more damage and damage cap. Like, it is all a very nice synergy going on, right? Which, I do like that, because, you know, it just feels like the kit works together, and it just feels good when you're playing as the unit, right? Like, you're using them, spamming your skills, using your special, which it all synergizes together, and that's all a great thing to see, because not all units are like that. Some units are anti-synergy, where they just don't synergize together at all. Now, let's try and kill this guy as fast as possible, and then we'll leave it there for Shalltear, but I can already see that she definitely seems like a very fast DPS unit. I will still be trying to get her, but I can say that I won't be pitying. And I'm not going super hard, I'm just going to be doing single pulls, but she is definitely a great unit to have for sure on anyone's account. Let's try and kill this guy super fast. Well, as fast as I can without pressing buttons. Yeah, that's probably what you would be doing. Skill 3, as much as you can, and then start using skill 2 until you get a skill 3 back, and then use skill 3 again, and then you start spamming skill 2. That's probably what I would do if I were to use her for maximum DPS. Continuously spam skill 3, and then only use skill 2 when you don't have skill 3. Probably. But you do have to be in range to use her skill 3, so that's something to keep in mind. In some scenarios, it might be a little bit better to use her skill 2, because her skill 2 is long range. You can use it anywhere on the map. So let's say you're literally the other side of the map to where the enemy is, and they give you like a reduced speed debuff or something, right? Let's say in that scenario, you're going to be much better off just spamming your skill 2 at long range probably at that point. But that's just me thinking about it. Like, both her skill 2 and skill 3 are incredibly fast, and I do like spamming her skill 2 the most, honestly, but her skill 3 is still her best skill, so they're both great. I do love seeing those skills, they're great. Skill 1 is not bad either. Skill 1 can still be pretty solid. Yeah. She is going to be totally nuts in the time trial. There's going to be quite a few people using her in the time trial, I think. And she's going to be the best DPS unit for I don't know how long, because the last best DPS unit that we had was Arngrim, and one before that was Sonic. Those two are still very good, they're still used, but now we've got an even better one. Here's the thing I have to make sure everyone's aware of, is the fact that PvE, you know, meta changes so quickly, and DPS always gets power crept in this game quite quickly, so that is probably the main reason why I'm not too fussed about getting this unit, because I know there's going to be another one in the future, and she only has damage and DPS. She doesn't have any unique stuff that's going to be good long term, so Once she gets completely outdated in like a year or two, she might be useless. That's just me guessing, me thinking about it. And that's probably going to be the same scenario with like Sonic and Argrim and the current top tier DPS units. Eventually they're going to be useless. But obviously right now they're the best DPS units for, you know, DPS, beating things fast, they're the best of that right now. But in the future, when they're not, their value just goes completely gone. So, just something to think about. Right, so now I've talked about Shalltear for a while, I do want to talk a bit more about the Part 1 and Part 2 unit, because I have done quite a bit of testing over the past week for both of them, mostly in Arena. I don't really want to focus too much on Arena though, because it is a competitive game mode, but I don't mind showing off a few things. So, first of all, let's have a look at Part 1. Ainz as a unit, let's just go to him first. I haven't really been using him that much. I tried using him in Arena. It didn't really work, just because his magic cost way too damn much. It is just way too expensive MP cost. But in PvE content, I noticed as well that his damage cap's kind of low, and you're just much better off using Lillahar in pretty much almost every single scenario, because Lillahar can hit, obviously her magic can hit every single enemy, and she has more damage cap and higher DPS potential compared to Ainz. But the main benefit Ainz has is the fact that he can use stackable magic, and those spells are definitely his hardest hitting spells and his best spells. So I just want to show this off a little bit, and what I have, you know, found out about Ainz. He is strong. Hellfire and True Dark are literally the only two spells that I'm using, because the other spells that he has, let's just have a look at it, that I don't currently have on. He's got Absolute Zero, Never Tempest, and X-Radio, right? Radio. Well, I don't know why he even has these three, because they're just completely useless. These three right here, you don't have any reason to use these three. They're just a waste in his kit, because they don't do that much damage, and the damage cap isn't that high either. And it's just a waste, because Hellfire and True Dark are just way better than these three on this unit specifically, because he has a lot in his kit that's aimed towards tier magic, and that only applies to Hellfire and True Dark. So his non-stacking spells, these three here, don't do anything. They're just not worth using. But Hellfire and True Dark are the main, you know, the stars of his magic. So he's basically only got two magic spells, Hellfire and True Dark. I think my favourite from testing is Hellfire, because Hellfire seems to hit the hardest. True Dark will be better for PvE, because if you're hitting, you know, have no problems hitting damage cap, then True Dark's going to be better there, and you can use it against most enemies pretty much. But for PvP, if you want him to work there, he can technically work there, he can hit pretty hard there, but what you have to do is you have to kind of focus on Hellfire and boost its damage as much as possible and make sure he has a lot of MP. If he can survive, that's a big if he can survive to get enough MP to use his Hellfire spell, then it can hit incredibly hard, because I've seen this spell manage to kill Mauser and like a lot of units. So Hellfire can have potential to do a lot of damage, but the problem with it is it costs 68 MP and it's a medium area attack, you know? So it's not the best, right? It's not the best spell, but it can hit really hard. So originally, when in my first Part 1 stream, I did say he was going to be a great unit, good long term. I still stand by that. I just think he's not as good as I was thinking originally, because his damage cap's quite low, and his damage on his normal spells are just terrible, not worth using. So he basically only has Hellfire and True Dark which kind of sucks because he's only locked to these two elements. But these two spells can hit for pretty solid damage in PvP. I don't know if it's really worth using them in PvE, honestly, because you're probably better off using Lillahar and those types of mages because they can hit all enemies. But if you want a full mage type of team, he can still do well there because he's got stackable spells, and you can stack these on top of non-stacking spells. It can perform well, right? But he's just not going to be super meta at anything. That's pretty much everything I have to say about him. Like, he's going to be great for newer players because you can just easily cast his spells. Like, make sure you use True Dark and Hellfire only, and you'll be completely fine as a new player. He should be able to carry you through pretty much most stages, right? Which is the same with pretty much every new unit I know, but because he's a mage, some stages, like a very small amount of stages, require a mage, and mages can be useful. So I still think he'll be nice, but also he does require a specific team where he has to have like undead type units and stuff. So he isn't my favourite mage, but he can be pretty strong. He just could have been way better. Like, he could have been a hell of a lot stronger than this. In his current state, he's not worth chasing for, but if you do get him, he's still a great unit that you can mess around with and can perform well with, and I still think he's a fun unit. I still think it's good, but I don't think he's going to rate super highly on the tier list just because his damage cap's not that great, and he only basically has 2 magic spells, and they cost a hell of a lot. So, I don't know. He has potential in guild battles. I haven't tried him there yet. I plan to eventually, but I don't know when. I just don't see him being... I don't see a scenario where I'd rather use him instead of Lillahar, you know? Because my Lillahar is already fully maxed at plus 30, and she's still the better unit. So, I'll leave it up to you. He's still a great unit. The most underwhelming unit out of this collab. But now we get on to the good stuff. Albedo is actually my favourite unit in this collab so far. Her and Shalltear are both very strong units. Albedo being the most interesting one to me, honestly, because she can be a tank, or she can be a damage dealer, or she can be both. And she can work in both PvE content and PvP, so she can work in, like, pretty much everywhere, right? But here's the big but though. Her DPS isn't very good. Her damage cap is kind of low. It's not very good damage cap, so you don't really want to use her for DPSing. It's kind of bad. But just for clearing waves is so good. I'll show you my current build for PvE because it's actually pretty solid. So her skill 3 is what I've been focusing on the most because it hits every single enemy. I knew from the start that this would be useful, and it is, because this can kill like every single enemy on the map, and I've been using it for farming. I've been using it in arena. It's actually pretty damn strong. My current build is heavily focused on damage and damage cap. This isn't perfect by any means. I've just been using this for farming stages and the event and stuff. So it's basically just, you know, phone booth, SCT, try and restore as much SCT as possible so she can use her skill 3 on auto, and she can just hit everyone just like a Telestio. Telestio's still stronger. He will clear, you know, harder stages easier because enemies that have more health, Telestio will do better. But if they are weaker enemies, then Albedo's going to be faster because her skill 3 does hit faster, is quicker than Telestio's skill 3 because it just basically instantly hits, and I do like that about it. So basically all I've done is I increased her damage by as much as possible, as well as her damage cap and SET. So a lot of these purple orbs, great, because she only has 1 skill stock of her skill 3. So if you have purple orb, make sure to use it because it's incredibly useful for her. And then more damage cap on her skill 3 because that's the one I basically only use in PvE because that's her main one for damage. And then all the skills for damage cap and damage, Even though they're not the best, they're not the most worth it, there's still some damage. I'm trying to squeeze out as much damage cap as possible, so for that reason, that's why I'm using them. And this build, well, if you call it a build, because it's not even, like, it's just focusing on damage. There's a lot of damage skills, I probably don't even need that much, and it seems solid. And I want to show you exactly how this is working. So, with this build, let's just go her by herself, right? Or just go to the event, right? Do the event. Do one of the event stages. Just to show you. Actually, while I'm here, I can just do this. And then go and use her by herself. And you can see this will be pretty great. I usually use... I don't think I really need an arc on this, do I? No. You could technically... I was considering... I'm still considering changing my support to Albedo so she can use her skill free and then putting on Sulfuric Gate. Because this gives dark physical damage and damage cap. So this build could work pretty damn well. So let's just show you exactly how she works. Press the auto button, she should instantly use her skill free, and everyone's dead. I do love these types of builds, because you don't always get them. Yeah, you see, instantly. It's definitely one of my, definitely my favourite unit out of this collab so far because of that reason. In fact, she can clear stages like this, just on auto. You don't have to worry about it. You can easily just auto quite a lot of easier stages like that. Obviously, she can't clear the more difficult stages. I should try her in HOT, the farming stage, but I don't know. I don't think she has enough damage cap for that, does she? I'm gonna try it anyways. Just haven't tried it yet. It's around here somewhere. I usually forget. Heart of the Temple on hard. I don't think she has enough damage cap for this, but I'm just gonna see what happens. I just want to see how much damage she does do against them, or if she does clear it. We'll see. Probably won't. Well, yeah. The big reason being, they've got dark resistance, so it won't work in this stage because 95 dark resistance, right? So this would only work if she could have some way to reduce their resistance. So because she can't, really do that, she can't use Trishula, she's kind of locked to an axe, she won't work in this stage. That is why Telestia works in this stage, because he can use Trishula, and because she can't use Trishula, you can see her damage terrible on this, but she did kill a few of them, and this can be used in most stages. Like, for story stages, she's probably going to be the easiest unit to use for story stages, like similar to Telestio. You just use one button, press a button, everyone's dead. Great stuff, right? So, I do love that about this unit, the fact that she can just use her skill free, kill everyone. I do love it. Now, let's go into Arena quickly, because I have been using Albedo in Arena, and she's actually pretty damn fun. So, let's have a look. And I do want to do at least one battle with her, just to show you. So, this is my damage dealer build. She can be a little bit tanky. She has high defense, right? And she's got some good damage mitigation skills in her kit base. With this build, all I've done is focus on damage. Revive accessories, pretty damn useful. And, Ice and Stem was just for 0. Awaken's pretty useful on her, for sure, for PvP. And then most of this is just focusing on damage, SET, the normal stuff. Purple Orb still used because it's pretty damn useful. And, it's pretty basic. A lot of these are collab limited skills, but I always love using these. And yeah, just making her a physical damage dealer. You could make her a full tank, I have tried that, but it hasn't worked as well as Melza for me. So I still prefer using Melda as a full tank, if you have a build, but she can work either a damage dealer or a tank. Let's randomly attack someone, probably someone up here, just so I can get some points. Do this on auto. I should win, right? There's no way. My team's not that bad. So, of course, not responding. Right, this should be fine. Let's go to her. She can use skill 3. Yeah, I have to tell you something, right? She doesn't always do the most damage. Like, you can tell she's like doing nothing right now. It's mostly 0. But against the burst teams, she can, and against Telestio, yeah, I think she killed something there. That was nice. Against Telestio, she's like a direct counter to Telestio, by the way, because she can't flinch from physical attacks at all, as long as you have an armor. And because of that, she just directly counters Telestio, because she can guarantee to survive a lethal attack like 4-1 skill, right? And she can also not flinch. She did do some damage there, that's not bad. It could have been a lot better than that. When she's at low HP, when she's at, you know, let's say a 0 has attacked her, now she's at 1 HP. Now she's doing even more damage because she has one of her skills increases her damage by, well, physical damage by 80% and a lot of strength. So it is a nice synergy, and she can work as a damage dealer. It's pretty funny, and you could even put on, you know, the SSR arc Origami if you want, just like Telestio. It won't work as well, but it can still work. But don't use her as your main damage dealer because she doesn't do well against killing tanks. That's the one thing I can say. She's more of a weaker version of Telestio, but can also be tanky. Pretty much how she is. A tanky version of Telestio. Does less damage though, but still very solid. And she's got her love buff, which is very useful too. That's why I'm using Renna in the team, because she's giving this buff to Renna, and then Renna's going to be more tanky from that buff, so it just seems like good synergy. I've just been messing around with some teams, and this is just something I've seen worked. This was just something I was messing around with for a full tank build. Didn't really work that well. I mean, could go with Albedo plus Telestio. You have a hell of a lot of options with Albedo, so she's very versatile. You can use her in a lot of different scenarios. That's why I think she's a great unit. I've been using this arc because this actually does give dark damage, so this does synergize with her, and the HP helps her as well because she is a bit tanky, and she can be a tank. So I like this arc on her. It's pretty nice, and I'm currently building for a damage dealer build. In most cases, it might be better to use her as a tank, but honestly, so far, she can work either way, either a tank or a damage dealer. She's pretty good at both, so I'm quite happy with her. Albedo is currently my favourite unit out of this collab because she can be used in almost everywhere, and her skill 3 hitting every enemy, just great for farming, and is great in PvP as well, so I do like her. She's a great unit for sure. So I think that's pretty much everything I want to talk about in terms of part 1 and part 2 units. You can see they both have their advantages. Albedo being more useful than Ainz, I have to say, but Ainz still being decent. It's just quite a bit of his kit is a bit, you know, could have been better, a bit underwhelming, but he still can be pretty strong in PvP. He can still work in PvE. If he's your only mage, he's still going to be a very good mage for sure. Only with his tier magic. His normal magic's going to be terrible, so don't use that, just use his tier magic, and he should be pretty strong. But Littleheart is still the better mage, of course, but they do play a little bit of a different role, because Ainz focuses on stackable magic, Littleheart focuses on non-stacking magic, so they are a bit different there, but Learnable is still the better choice. But what I'm thinking is Ainz might be the best mage for killing tanks. If you get him fully maxed with maximum damage boost, I think he should be incredibly strong for killing tanks in PvP. That's what I'm thinking, and what I've seen so far. And you might be able to take advantage of that a bit more in the future. You might be able to take advantage of that in guild battles. At the moment, he can't fit in arena, but he might fit in guild battles. I haven't tried him there yet. So, yeah. I think that's everything I want to talk about for today. I have to get going, do the guild battle, and start crying that I didn't get the unit. Not really. I'm going to be leveling up the arc. Well, I've already done that. I'm going to be doing guild battle and probably playing some other games, because there's some stuff I want to do on Wuthering Waves and some other games. Updates of today as well, so that's going to be fun. But doing the events and hoping I get the unit from daily pools is basically what I'm going to be doing. There isn't that much else to do this week, but next week on Thursday, same day, we do get the time trial, which will be fun, hopefully. So, time trial next week. Week after that will be the next unit, so I'll be back in 2 weeks. But just to conclude this stream, my conclusion for part 3 and this entire collab, I personally have mixed feelings about this collab as a whole. I think the event is very underwhelming. It doesn't have much effort put into it. There's no unique music or anything. There's no world map. The event is just very boring and very simple. I wish the event had more to it. But if you do not think about the event, the units and arcs are actually pretty good, and I do like the banners, the arcs. They are great. Nothing wrong with any of them. I think each of the units has something good in them, right? And same thing with every single arc, is no matter which arc you get, it's going to be useful, I think. But if I were to rate them, I would say the part 3 arc is the least important. The part 1 arc is the most important. So I would say part 1 arc at number 1, part 2 is second, part 3 is the least important. And in terms of units, I can't really rate them because they are very different from each other. But I can say that Ainz would be last, and Albedo and Shalltear would be quite close to each other. Just because I like Albedo a lot, because she can be used in a lot of different scenarios. Shalltear, yes, she's the best DPS, but I don't see her being used in PvP, and I don't know how good she's going to be long term, and she doesn't have any supportive buffs. So for that reason, in my opinion, I would rate Albedo higher than Shalltear, just in terms of how useful the unit is for someone's account, you know. But if you care more about that DPS in PvE, then Shalltear will be your number 1 choice for sure. So there is something useful in each one of these banners. I can't really say which one you should be putting on because it always depends on what your account has, but try and get one thing from each banner. But what I can say is Shalltear, new best DPS unit, and the part 1 arc is the best arc in this collab if you manage to get it, because it has some very good learnable skills on it. And the part 2 unit is the best unit in this collab in my opinion, in terms of she can be used in so many different scenarios, and this arc is actually pretty solid too. So probably part 2 is probably has the most value now I'm thinking about it. Yeah, the event story could have been interesting. It could have had a story to begin with, but they just didn't put any effort into the story, which is disappointing, because I do like the events of this game, and I like seeing the cutscenes and, you know, earning stuff and grinding, and, you know, I like doing that stuff, but this event doesn't have much of that, and it limits how much you can play the game, really, because you can only do certain stages once per day, and there isn't much to this event. It's just very boring to me. I'm not a fan of it, but I still like the units and the arcs, they're all very good. I have no complaints about any of the units or the arcs apart from Ainz, because he could have been better. There was potential there with Ainz, they just didn't reach that potential. Like, it could have been a hell of a lot better if he had more unique magic spells, and if they were a bit cheaper. I think that's all we needed, really. And more damage cap, that's like the only things he really needed, and then he would have been amazing, I think. But because his spells cast so damn much MP, and because he's so squishy in PvP, and the fact that most of his spells are kind of useless, that's why he's a bit underwhelming. But he's still very solid. I can't complain too much, because he still should perform pretty well. If you can take advantage of his stackable magic spells, he should do well. So, yeah, I think this collab definitely worth doing a couple of summons in each banner, but make sure to use every single one of your tickets first, because you never know, you could get something from those tickets, or you could use your paid crystals on the daily gacha and hope that you get something from those, because I did manage to get the part 2 arc from those single daily pools, which was nice. I got that like the other day. I have been using this arc to teach the Mimicry Maid on a couple of units, because the Mimicry Maid skill is pretty damn strong for 5SC. It can't be used on that many units, but I do really like this skill, and it's going to be used for like an incredibly long time, pretty much forever. And keep in mind, arcs are good long term because the skills that you learn on them, on collab arcs in particular, you can't get these skills on any units. This is the only place that you can get these skills and teach them on units. So that's why getting limited collab arcs are just very useful. So that's why I think the part 1 and part 2 arcs are definitely 2 arcs you should try to get. Definitely a part 1 arc, because the Ruler of Nazarick skills are just incredibly strong. Like 36% damage and minus 15% damage taken for 9SC is just ridiculous for PvP, and I'm using this on pretty much every one of my PvP builds right now, and it's so good on like 0 and, you know, a lot of other units like counter units and stuff. It can be used on anyone, so that's why this is my favourite arc from this collab. So I'll leave it up to you on which banner you should pull on, but I recommend to use all of your tickets first and then see if you have anything. And if there is a banner which you don't have either the unit or the arc on, then probably try to do single pulls on that banner until you get either the unit or the arc. And if you get one of those two, depending on which one it is, then maybe switch to a different banner. That's how I would play out this collab, is make sure your crystals last and be smart with where you spend your crystals in, and try to get as much as possible. And to do that, try and do singles in each banner and try and get as much as you can from each banner. But if you can't get everything, it's not a big deal, because you don't need everything. Each thing does have something useful in, but nothing is super meta. Well, unless you care about Shalltear's crazy DPS potential, then that is super meta. And if you want even more learnable skills, then a part 1 arc will be amazing for sure. But apart from that, it's up to you, really. So the part 1 arc, part 3 unit are probably the 2 best things in terms of meta standpoint, as well as Albedo. Well, regarding their paid equipments, I'll tell you something. With Albedo, I did decide to get her paid armor, because I did say in the last stream that her axe was better, but I had a proper look at them and I thought about it. Her axe, her paid axe, isn't that much better. Like, for the credentials you're using, there isn't really that much difference with her paid axe. So I got her armor because I think her armor is pretty damn good. It gives you damage mitigation, it gives you damage. It's pretty good. Albedo's armor is probably one of the better ones to get. And maybe Shalltear's spear is a pretty damn good one to get to, but you don't need to get any of them. But if you were to choose one of them out of all of them, it really depends on if you have everyone and what your account has and that kind of stuff. But though I only chose one paid equipment, which was Albedo's paid armor, because I like her armor. I do kind of want her axe, but I feel like it's not necessary. Her axe doesn't add much to her, so I got her armor. I think that's the best thing, one of the best pays in this collab, her paid armor, or Shalltear's spear, I think. So I think I'll leave that there for the moment. Overall, definitely a very nice collab in terms of banners, having good units and arcs. Ainz a little bit underwhelming, but apart from that, very good banners. The event itself, like I said, I don't like the event. It's kind of boring, and I wish it was better. I wish it was a world map with more stuff to do. It's just going to feel like this next week there's going to be not much to do in the game because the event is boring. And apart from the event, what else is there to do? Like, yes, arena, grind your account out, do any story that you haven't done, like just progress your account pretty much. There's nothing that much, not really any new content that they've released in this update. So yeah, I think that's everything for this collab. I do like this collab. I don't know anything about Overlord itself because I don't watch anime or anything, but I do love collabs in this game in particular. In Last Cloudia, collabs are great, and having limited skills are always my favourite thing to do, because teaching the Nazaric skills on units and the Mimicry Mage skills have what I've been doing for the past week, and building up Albedo, those things are just very good. So that's been fun. The most fun, the thing that I've been doing the most over the past week, honestly, has been messing with Albedo, because she has been the most fun to mess around with and has a lot of different build options. So yeah, I've mostly been doing that and messing around with both units in arena. But yeah, I think I'll leave that there for the moment. Hopefully you manage to get what you want from this collab, because having 3 separate banners in a collab is definitely very painful. And the fact that the pity medals don't carry over, if you're incredibly unlucky and have to pity every single thing, it's just stupidly expensive in this game. And that's the one major negative thing I have about this game, is the pity system sucks. And if you don't get lucky, you're just kind of screwed in this game, and I don't like that. But if you get lucky enough, and if you try to be smart with your crystals, you can make it work, and it can be a very fun game. That's what I try and do all the time. So yeah, I'll leave that there. I'm really hoping that I can get Shalltear in the next 2 weeks. That's going to be something I'm really hoping for, because she is going to be using the time trial, and I would really like to use her because her DPS potential is pretty damn high. But I'm not going to worry too much about that, because I don't want to pity, don't want to waste crystals, make sure they last as long as possible. Yeah, getting the collab units is definitely going to carry your account through the story, for sure. Getting any up-to-date unit on your account is just going to make your progress so much quicker. It's great. Like, no matter what unit it is, pretty much, as long as it's a new unit, it's just going to make your account, you know, so much better. Also, Prefect of God Zero's banner is still available for another week. If you want a ridiculously strong PvP unit, then Zero is still available for another week. But I have to say, you're much better off pulling on the collab banners, because these, we don't know if they're going to come back, and since they're limited collab banners, I just recommend to pull on these more than anything. So Zero plus his arc and his paid and all of his necessary skills is ridiculously strong. It's not even funny, it's just crazy. Like, he's the strongest damage dealer for PvP right now, but only if you have all of his necessary skills, and not everyone can do that. If you're a new player and you just get Zero and you can't get anything else, then I don't know how he's going to perform for you. He might not perform well enough. But if you can get everything for him, that's when he becomes ridiculous. So Every single person's zero is going to be different. Well, here's the problem though. Zero's paid is incredibly expensive, right? It costs 50 credentials, but it is the most powerful paid accessory we had in the entire game. So I say it's up to you, really. But now I think about it, this paid will come back in the future in the Crimson Ore shop, so you don't need to buy it, honestly. You're probably better off going for the collab paid equipments instead, if you were to choose, because Zero's paid accessory will come back in the Crimson Ore shop in like 6 or 12 months. I don't remember how long, but it is still a long time. So that's up to you, really. There isn't really anything stupidly crazy with the collab equipments, but they are all pretty strong. I do think Shalltear's spear is going to be pretty damn good, and Albedo's armor is pretty great too, but there are still alternatives. You don't have to use them, you don't have to get them. As you know, free-to-play options are still just fine in this game. So yeah, I think I'll leave it there for today, and hopefully everyone gets lucky in their pools. I will be adding timestamps very soon. I'm going to be doing some guild battle and stuff, and kind of chilling over the next week, and then once the time trial starts, I'll be doing that a little bit. I don't focus too hard on the time trials anymore, just because pushing them very hard, I don't enjoy it. So I just do them casually now, because it's just a lot more fun to me. And yeah, hopefully I'll see everyone in 2 weeks. I don't have any plans for the moment. I'll just be doing everything that I've normally been doing. Yeah, thanks for showing up. I always enjoy seeing people show up to these streams, because it makes me feel like these streams are worth doing, because if no one showed up, then I probably would stop doing these, because doing these streams take a hell of a lot of my time, and adding the timestamps and stuff just takes some time. I enjoy doing them though, that's the only reason I'm doing them, because I enjoy them, and because people like seeing them too. That's the main reason why I'd like doing them. So, as always, if you like these types of streams, there's obviously many ways you can support them. The main one being just watching them to begin with, and taking part is what I like seeing the most. Like and sub visiting. I don't really ask for likes or subs, because I'm not that kind of person, you know, but it's up to you. So yeah, I'll see everyone in 2 weeks. There is a donation link in the description. I don't push it hard, because honestly it's just there just in case. Don't worry about it, just pretend it don't exist. It's just there just in case, because it's set up just in case. But I've said just in case over the past few sentences so many times. I know. Okay, I'll leave it there. Won't waste anyone else's time. I've been here for 2 hours 38 minutes, quite a long time considering I didn't have many plans in the stream. But yeah, I'll focus on adding the timestamps very soon, and I'll see you in 2 weeks for the next one. Have a fun collab. Hopefully you get everything that you wanted, because collabs are always a pain in the ass to get limited stuff. It's always a pain with fear of missing out. I understand that. I'll see you